Joining us now is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Oba Maduabuch. Thank you so much for being on the news tonight.
It's always a pleasure.
Great. And, we're just watching that report, and I know you had some reactions. The Supreme Court's ruling came last week. Today, the governor says he doesn't agree, but he will implement. I mean, what's your reaction to the ruling, first and foremost?
Well, the Supreme Court will never be wrong. The Supreme Court is like the Pope. When the Pope is speaking ex cathedra with respect to affairs of the Catholic Church, he can never be wrong.
It's infallible.
It's infallible, yes. In the same way that the Supreme Court of Nigeria, with respect to any judicial matter, when anything they say is right, like Ayodesha said, we are not infallible because we are the Supreme Court. We are the Supreme Court because we are infallible. So it's that's just what it is. That judgment has come. The effect is known to all of us. But I think it's one of the most misinterpreted judgments the Supreme Court has ever. The only one that ranks closest to it is Uzodinma 4-1, 1-4. Because when you don't understand how 1 became 4, how 4 became 1.
So where are the ambiguities in the case of Rivers State?
In the case of Rivers State, the issue of defection never played out at all. There was no question of whether the people defected, whether they still retained their seats. It was not part of what Supreme Court. What the Supreme Court was concerned with, an order was made, and you didn't obey that order. And you are still in court seeking benefits from court when you have derided the court, when you refuse to obey simple order of court. Don't hold an election unless this happens. You defied that order. The Supreme Court didn't take it lightly. They don't take when you defy the authority of the court. The courts do not take it lightly. If you remember when Amechi was governor, the whole structure of Rivers State was thrown overboard because an order was made by court, don't do this, and they went ahead and did it. It happened in Zamfara. Don't do this, and they defied the court. It is the same thing. Don't take your money to these people. The man brushed it aside and went ahead, and the Supreme Court said you can't do that here.
Senior Advocate, please clarify for us, because this argument lingers. The Supreme Court last week said that the 27 lawmakers are reinstated, but the state government is pursuing the case of defection in the Federal High Court. I think that case is coming up perhaps in April or sometime this month.
Yes.
There are those who are arguing that because there's an extant law returning these lawmakers back to the House, then the Federal High Court case does not hold water. It has no weight. Clarify for us.
That's not what I'm telling you. Part of what I'm telling you. The Supreme Court never decided whether those people defected or not. Defection is not what you do by magic. It's a process. Section 109G is clear. Once you become the member of another political party, you lose your seat. Now, if you go to 2, it tells you provided. 1092 says provided that the member who is leaving, who is defecting, or the speaker presents to the House enough evidence which satisfies the House that there has been a defection.
So that aspect
that is where the thing is. Yes,
is what they have latched onto.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what has the procedure. Has anybody brought to the House any evidence that we have defected? Some people say yes, because you swore to an oath, 27 of you, swore to an oath that you have defected from PDP and become members of the APC. There's no better evidence than a man's word against himself. If those people said we are now members of the APC, I don't see how anybody can say they are not. But that issue has not been decided. What the Supreme Court simply said is, we have not, this question of defection has not been brought to us. Go back to your jobs. You do not wish somebody to defect. You cannot say, I think this man has defected. It is something that has a procedure.
So the issue of defection is a non-issue.
It's a non-issue. Now nobody's even raising it.
Okay, so now, I mean, you heard Governor Fubara there, making his speech, trying to reassure his supporters, his followers, and all of that. But before we even get to that point, because he made some statements there that I wonder how you react to those statements, like, at the right time, the right thing must be done. And I'm wondering what exactly is the right thing in this case. And he also says, at the right time, you will get the instruction. That's Fubara addressing the youth, especially there. Now, is it the governor's responsibility to call for a head of admins to take over at the local governments?
Now, ordinarily, the local government should have no interference from the governor.
Right.
It's like saying the governor has anything to do with the legislature. They have nothing. They don't have anything together. But the special circumstances of this matter, which is that all local government chairmen have been removed. And everybody, the nature abhors vacuum.
Right.
So we cannot stay without, somebody has to head. And as the man in charge of Rivers State, it would be right for Fubara to take steps to protect the structures of government.
Okay.
Yes.
There are other issues that have been raised, such as the representation of the 2025 budget. Because it's been passed into law, we know it as a budget. However, it's been referred to as the appropriation bill because they're asking him to represent it.
Yes.
Are there any legal consequences for that, considering that this 1.1 trillion naira was passed in January?
No, they have to take it back. That's exactly what the Supreme Court said. You have to take this thing back.
Isn't that an exercise in futility?
No, how is it? The Supreme Court has set aside everything you've done. Go back and do the proper thing. 27 people are said to have defected. Fubara and his group is saying these are no longer legislators. Right? So, if Fubara is saying these are no longer legislators, does it lie within his present to say that they are no longer legislators? Does he have the power?
Does it?
Who decides that these people have defected? So it is not for the governor to stay in the comfort of his office and say they have defected. In the same way, Section 109G says once you defect, you lose your seat. It's automatic. Now,
so why doesn't that section apply?
So no, because of the provision in 2.
Well, exactly. I mean, so just like you said, it's the most confusing so far. So what is the right thing really that should be done now? Especially when you hear Fubara say, look, the right thing must be done. What is that right thing? From all sides.
The right thing that ought to be done now is for when they constitute a house, because everything is modeled.
That's the Amehule.
Amehule. They have to go back because there is no proof that they're defected. Now, the only way out is for them to await the pronouncement of the Supreme Court on the issue. Don't forget that why they voided the whole local government exercise was because they disobeyed the court. They defied the courts. You defy a court when you disobey its order.
Yeah.
And so if the Supreme Court has said, because you were asked to do this and you didn't do it, we are setting this aside. That issue of defection cannot be in court. And those people proceed to take certain preemptive actions like impeachment. There are certain things they should be cautious about doing now because their own position is still not clear.
Right.
They have to tread carefully.
Suffer, like we say in the
on the streets.
Oba Maduabuch, we have to say thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight tonight, Senior Advocate of Nigeria.
Thank you very much.